Ms. Robinson.
Hi there.
Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to meet you.
I'm Chicago Pinot. Most people call me Douglas.
All right.
That's my alter ego
Awesome.
online.
Nice to meet you. And you can call me Andrea.
Thank you, Andrea. It's a pleasure to meet you.
You too. Thanks.
What is bringing you to Chicago this time? I know you were here on a promotional trip about a year ago, which I had to work that day, so I couldn't see you.
Gotcha.
So what brings you back this time?
Well, I'm really excited to be here at Tenzing Wine and Spirits. It's a new important distribution venture by a master sommelier colleague, Ken Fredrickson, and another MS, Fernando Bateta, who's formerly with Nomi here at the Park Hyatt. So I'm here because they are big supporters of my The One stemware, which I'm truly honored because they're the best palates in the biz. So I'm excited because this is their coming out party for their new venture with all the best buyers in the city, and so everyone's going to be tasting out of one today.
I'm looking forward to it myself.
Awesome.
Now, you have a lot of very important credentials. You are one of the few master sommeliers. There are only about 15, 16 women who've achieved that, right?
That's right. That's right. So it's a small but a really fun group. When you hear the word master sommelier, you think it sounds pretty snobby and not fun, but don't be scared. Master sommeliers are cool to hang out with.
They definitely are. Can you take me through some of the process to reach that pinnacle? It's kind of like a pyramid progression, right?
There is, and there are a lot of people here in the Chicago market who are pursuing various levels of the master sommelier steps, because it is a process starting with the basic level, and that's usually about a 3-day exam, 3-day course followed by an exam. So it has the education to build you up to be able to pass the test. And then there are 2 subsequent levels, and then finally the master's diploma. And all along the way, you're being tested on wine in the context of the service of wine. So you're being tested on, certainly the book learning and the facts and figures around wine and grapes and regions and so on, but also service technique. And of course the sort of the most mysterious part of it that a lot of people find completely fascinating, which is blind tasting.
Right.
And so it takes a great deal of personal dedication, a lot of practice, but of course the homework's pretty fun.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I've learned from reading books about sommeliers and a couple of sommeliers who've written books, that it's really important to find a mentor or a role model. Did you have anyone like that when you started your career?
Yeah, the mentoring process of the sommelier thing, I look at it as also a step-by-step process, because the best thing, of course, in the world is to find somebody who knows a whole lot more about wine than you do, and to be able to work with them or for them. But that's not always an option for people, and so sometimes you find simply people who can mentor aspects of your career. Maybe they can help you, coach you in blind tasting, and another person can help you with assessing different career options. Come on in. We're in the middle of wine tasting here, so we've got a lot going on. Not least of which is to actually host the wine tasting. But the mentor thing is very important. For me, one of my big mentors was Kevin Israeli.
Oh, sure.
But as soon as he was at the World Trade Center, Windows on the World, one of the most famous wine restaurants. But as soon as I jumped into the Wine Master Sommelier program, everybody at the Master Sommelier program is a mentor. And that's part and parcel of achieving the credential, is assuming that your first job, once you do that, is to immediately try to help shepherd other people who pursue that same aspiration.
So it's competitive, but it's not competitive.
No, it isn't competitive. It's competitive with yourself. Okay. Because there's not a winner when you go to an exam. You pass or you don't pass based on what you've been able to achieve yourself. And if everyone at the exam achieves the proper level of mastery, they will get the diploma. It's just that it's really hard. So on average, about 7% of people I think pass. So it's not a competition, and in fact, everybody who's a master sommelier wants nothing more than for people who aspire to that credential to be able to help them get it.
So tell me a little about your time at Windows. There's actually a young lady who just flight out in San Francisco named Rebecca. So we've emailed a few times, and I'm sure there are some fun times and obviously some very bittersweet times. So take me to a time when a night the place is just rocking.
Oh boy, Windows on the World was a place where, if you didn't get to be there, then it's probably one of the sad things of life. But if you did get to go there, it was an unforgettable experience. And what was great about Windows on the World was the dynamic environment, but also the soul of the restaurant from a wine perspective. And that was really all built by Kevin Israeli, my mentor, the author of the Windows on the World Complete Wine Course, best-selling wine book, I think, in history.
I bought your book first. So.
Oh, that's sweet. Thank you, but I'm sure you got both. It was a place where wine really was for everyone. And his notion was that wine will be the best it can be in terms of the selection that we can offer, the prices that we can offer, which is something I've always really respected, the notion that it wasn't predatory pricing, where we're going to own the wine rather than have it be affordable for you to actually drink it with your food. So everybody felt like there was something on the list that they could afford to order and be excited about. And then also that the wine service experience was going to be something that you felt good about, that we weren't going to make you feel like really bad if you didn't want to spend a lot of money or if you didn't know a lot. Like, why would you want to make your customer feel bad? But of course, in the old days, there would come the guy with the ashtray on a chain and the phone book wine list, and you're just sitting there cowering in your seat going, please, don't make me suffer. I don't know why wine service got to be that way. So that was all off the table at Windows on the World. And so on any given night, you could be decanting Cote Rôtie for one person, and you could be making a fanfare out of White Zinfandel for another person, and everybody was having fun.
Great. Well, I want to mention a couple of your books. The Great Wine Made Simple, which is one of the first wine books I bought.
Thank you.
And it's an excellent first start if you're starting to learn about wine. And we have your annual book, the Wine Buying Guide.
Yes.
And you've done like 8 or 9 of these, right?
Yeah, that's the 9th edition.
How have you learned consumer taste changing over 9 years?
Well, I'm actually, it's been really fun to watch the evolution. I mean, there's and now this year for the first time in this edition, it was a great idea of my husband's. He said, well, you're never going to rate as many wines as the Wine Spectator or Robert Parker. I think the typical issue of Wine Spectator has maybe 800 ratings in it or more. This book has less than 800 wines total. But my notion is to tell people the best of the best in accessible price points. And so this year, for the first time, every section is my top 10 picks in that varietal or style, because I'm not going to be in the business of telling you what not to buy, meaning giving wines a bad score. And if I didn't like it, I'm not going to tell you about it. So only if I loved it will you find it in this book, and so that's a big deal. And what has happened with consumer taste is that there are my top 10 Pinot Grigios in there. Pinot Grigio was not on the radar screen 10 years ago, and now it is hot and double-digit growth for the last 5 years running. Riesling, same thing. I have several sections of Riesling in there by country and by price point, because finally, thank you, America, we've embraced Riesling. And of course, you and I are simpatico on Pinot Noir, so it's quite an expansive section there, because there have been emerging zones for Pinot Noir. I didn't have New Zealand Pinot Noir in the first 5 editions of that book, if not first 7. I didn't have a lot of space for Oregon Pinot Noir, because there were, 3 that anybody had heard of. The Eyrie with David Lett, and Ponzi, the pioneers, Silko Blosser. So those are some examples of how consumer tastes have changed.
Now, you also have a website. Give us the website.
It's AndreaWine.com, and it's everything. It's everything that I do. You'll find a little department for it. So there's, of course, stuff about the books. There's my video wine course, which is, we're in the process of doing a whole new dynamic update on that, but there's a lot of great stuff there. And there's the whole wine buying guide is available, searchable that way. It's also available on an iPhone app, so if you don't want to carry a book in your pocket, that's available. It's called Top 10 Wines.
It's a cute book.
It's handy. It's a glove box friendly book. But if you don't want to open a book as you're sitting at the restaurant table, you can it's more subtly search. And then there's also our whole foodie travel section and our daily tastings, which is videos around a different theme, very often an educational theme, sometimes just a current theme. Like I had fun with Grammys Week and with President's Week, videos that connect wine to current events.
Well, if you pick a wine out of Andrea's recommendations here, we have to drink it out of something, and what better vessel to drink it out of than the stemware that you've designed. So talk a little about that.
Yeah, so you can check it out on the website. It's called The One, and it's 1 glass for white and 1 for red that optimize all wines. And why stemware? I'm not a product manufacturer, and the last thing I needed was the notion of trying to put out a product other than maybe a book, which somebody else can sort of help you with. But I've always wanted to simplify the world of wine for people, and hence Great Wine Made Simple and all the things that I've really worked on. But glassware had become overly complicated at a crazy level, where people feel like they have to have a different glass for every grape. They have to spend $25 on a stem. It's going to break if you look at it. You have to add a wing to your house for all your stemware. And And in the meantime, if you have invested in all those stems, my husband had done this before we married, you go to your cabinet and you don't know which one actually it is. Is that the Riesling glass or the Chianti glass?
Look so close to each other.
I have them all and I still don't know what to drink from. So I really respect the great crystal companies that have taught us that the glass makes a difference. But in taking it too far, that you need a different glass for every grape or even every level of grape, right? You need a Chardonnay glass, but then you need a Chardonnay Grand Cru glass.
Oh, okay.
Then I just realized that first of all, it's confusing, and second of all, maybe there's a different way. So about 3 years ago, my husband and I did a big assessment of the best practices in glass design, and we said, what is it about the rim diameter and the vertical depth of the bowl and the angle and so on that works and what doesn't? And the size was a big deal. And we developed prototypes based on all of those best practices, and then spent 3 years testing them with every grape, style, appellation, quality level, age, and so on, against the grape-specific stems to make sure that they equal or beat their performance. And their performance was amazing. And then we found a great partner, Stolzel Glassware in Germany. They have a fabulous lead-free crystalline product that is break-resistant and dishwasher safe and lead-free. And it's also price competitive, so we're half the price of, say, a Riedel Venom stem, which is great. We beat the grape-specific stems for performance with wine, and you only need one white and you only need one red. And so now people can have the right glass for their wine, spend a whole lot less, break a whole lot less, wash them in the dishwasher, and I have 3 kids, so dishwashing by hand is not an option, and feel like they've got the right stemware without all of the confusion, the expense, and the space that it takes, right?
Sure.
So you can invite your children back into the house from the playhouse because you can move that stemware out of their bedroom that you had no other place to keep it in.
Great. Well, thank you again for coming back to Chicago and giving me a chance to meet with you. We're going to be tasting out of the one glasses in just a little while.
I'm totally honored. All of Chicago's best buyers will be tasting out of the one, so it's a little bit of a coming out party for me. Be nice.
Okay. And I just wanted to close, if you have any advice for those who are trying to get into the wine world as a career, either as a sommelier or maybe as a buyer, as an importer, what tips can you offer?
You know, the wonderful thing about this field is that it's a great field for career changers. It's very opening and embracing to people who want to try to do, to leave what they were doing. I'm a career changer. I was an investment banker, right? And I left my job after a couple years on Wall Street and decided to follow my heart into the world of wine. And that's what you should do. You should follow your passion. And that's why most people who come to love wine decide, gosh, if I'm going to go to work every day, let me do it in service of the grape and the consumer of the grape, right? Remember, it's always a service business, and your job is to usher the pleasures of wine into the world for people who, you know, either already enjoy it and you want to give them the best service experience possible, or maybe to open up that world for new people, because you have to remember that it is an artisanal product that comes from the earth and it comes from the heart and soul of an individual. And so for that reason, that's why I say you're in service to the customer and to the grape, because we're carrying on a tradition that is millennia old. And we're taking this handcrafted product from, you know, maybe a little mom and pop farm in Tuscany or in Sonoma or Paso Robles or whatever, and sending it across the world or wherever, and making it a part of somebody's very important moment. It could be just dinner, but dinner is better with a glass of wine, and if you sit down and you enjoy it with your family the way it ought to be, and wine can be a part of that, because you're just not going to sit there and eat over the sink out of a paper bag. With that glass of wine, it forces you to be more civilized.
It forces you to slow down.
It forces you to slow
really
down.
Appreciate what you're tasting.
And be connected to the land and the agricultural tradition of creating food and foodstuffs and products for other people to enjoy out of what nature's bounty provides to us. So to do that, it's the great thing about this field is that it's open to all comers, and all you have to do is start by networking. It's very important to go to tastings, volunteer at tastings, at fundraisers where there are wine people pouring, and just start to talk to them and develop those friendships. There are always ways to read blogs, start a blog. Create a point of view. You know, you have one. You already have your own point of view, and that's the interesting thing about the web. There's a lot of noise out there, but you do have the chance, the way to get your point of view out there, and the way to begin to interact with other people very easily through the social media. Start that dialogue, and then think about your own skill set and how does it apply. Can you write? Are you a tech person? Are you a finance person? Well, guess what? All of those things have to happen in one. If you're a people person, you can sell. or you can service customers in a restaurant setting. So all of those things can happen. Everybody can start at a junior position in a wine cellar or on the floor or in the stockroom of a retail store. And if you have passion and you're willing to either do it as a side job or take a pay cut just for a while, just to get in the door, that's what I did. I worked for $15,000 at Windows on the World in New York City. That did not pay my rent. But, you know.
Mom, it's okay.
It worked out.
Andrea. She says it's okay.
Exactly. It's just it's an investment in your career for the future and an investment in your happiness.
Well, thank you so much. Signing off now, Chicago Pinot. I'm going to do some tasting. And again, it was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you so much, Chicago Pinot.
Thank you.
Take care.